I talk, laugh, or smile a lot, my eyelashes just constantly hit the bottom of my eyelids, so no matter what, it smudges. Pretty much been no mascara for me. Instead, I just opt for a darker lip stain. My Wonder Skin Hush. I don't need to reapply throughout the day, and I'm gonna wear it again today. I don't want my lips to be.
Hi, I have a new setup with a new weird thing that I stick to the window in front of me. So hopefully, between my microphone and my little camera thingy, the quality of my videos will be a little bit better than it has been in the past. Frankly, I kind of cringe at how bad my videos are in production value, but also I know that it's very easy to kind of get in your head and stop making the things that you want to make because you're paralyzed by your perfectionism. So, um, please believe me when I tell you that I understand that the videos themselves need to be improved, but also that I'll just keep going and hopefully over time I'll figure out what I'm doing as long as you guys keep watching. So, what I wanted to share with you today is some interesting books that are inspired by this one. This is Ghostfish by Stuart Pennebaker. And Ghostfish is a debut novel. It just came out about a week ago. I was very grateful and lucky to receive an advanced copy of the book itself. Um, and I loved it so much that it really kind of made me think about what I like to read in a way that I hadn't in a while. That I wanted to share with you. So, very kind of broad strokes. Ghostfish is a coming of age story. It centers Allison, a 23-year-old girl, young woman who has lost her sister, her mother, her grandmother, just in tragic death. And we meet her as she moves to New York City in an attempt to start afresh. So, as she moves into the city, she finds a job at a restaurant. She works as a host and basically tries to piece a life together. And as she does that, we just become profoundly aware of how sad, lonely, and isolated she is simply by virtue of her biography and the difficult life that she's had up to that point. One night, as she's walking home from work, she notices a weird shape close to her front door and realizes that that's a ghost. And not only is it a ghost, but it's a ghost in the shape of a fish. And the moment she sees that shape, she is convinced that that's the ghost of her deceased sister. So, as the story unfolds, we basically try to figure out if this ghost is actually something that is happening or is something she's imagining or hallucinating. Is she unraveling? Is she just being really tired from her job? um, it's a very strange type of thing to be reading about, and it makes you really kind of question the shape of reality. What is the boundary between memory and hallucination? What is the boundary between sadness and depression? What is the boundaries between love and psychosis? um, I really loved this book so much. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't typically fall for stories that have magical realism elements in them. I am a very pragmatic Eastern European, serious type of person. And I don't mean that as a way to brag. I actually don't like that about myself. Like, I wish I was a little bit lighter and I wish I was a little bit um more lighthearted, I guess, in my life, but also in my reading. However, I really love those magical aspects of this book. And the way that I've been describing Ghostfish is just the perfect combination of tender and weird. And as I was doing that, I realized that that's actually a type of book that I really enjoy. So I am going to share 3 more examples of a book like that. And um, I would also like to ask you for recommendations that kind of fall in that similar space. So the first book that I wanted to recommend that is tender and weird is Swimming Home by Deborah Levy. I really love Deborah Levy, and this is probably my favorite novel by her. If you are thinking about getting started with Deborah Levy, I think that this is an amazing place to go. And the story is very um, emotionally complex. It begins with the arrival of Joseph, who's a renowned poet, and his family to a summer house in the south of France. And the family is disrupted upon arrival by the presence of a floating naked body in the swimming pool in the villa where they're staying with their friends. And before we know it, we have met this young woman who has just shown up swimming naked in their pool. Joseph's wife invites her to stay with them. And it feels both strange and also kind of haunting that she would do so. From the very beginning, you kind of have a feeling that like there's a reason for that, but you don't quite understand. And the story is just so um, bizarre, sad, and erotically charged, and psychologically complex, but also has this really kind of lovely surrealist moments woven in throughout, um, like the dress of the girl, or um, little birds, or the pool itself that is just really eerie and just kind of suggestive of bad things to come, perhaps. So it's just really lovely. And it kind of straddles that dream space between um, sad and dreamlike in a way that kind of reminded me of Ghostfish as well, even though the books are very different, obviously. The second book that I want to recommend in this category is probably my favorite of the bunch, and that's Pond by Claire-Louise Bennett. Now, if you have not read Claire-Louise Bennett, I just want you to stop this video right this second and just go find her books like right away. She is incredible. She's one of my most favorite writers, probably the most favorite writer that I've discovered this past year. Her writing is fucking insane. I don't know how else to describe it. It's very, I don't even know how to describe, fragmented and stream of consciousness and formally innovative. This particular book, Pond, is told from the perspective of this lonesome young woman who seems to have had a kind of like a career, a starting career in academia that got aborted, and like she moves into a village and lives in like this cottage, and we are in her headspace this whole time as she's just making porridge and salad and fixing the fence. But she goes from these really mundane observations about her daily activities to these super deep philosophical discussions, reflections on her past relationships, snide remarks that she wished she had made to people at parties. It's just fantastic. It's fantastic. You start reading it and you absolutely have no clue what's going on, and you kind of keep expecting that at some point there will be a shift in perspective or a shift in tone that will basically bring you up to speed on what you are actually reading up to that point. But that moment never comes. And fair warning, you may find that like the book and her style are just completely unreadable and insane. Which, I mean, fair enough, you may not like it, but if you do, if it does appeal to you, you will be obsessed. She's fantastic. So that's my second recommendation. And the third recommendation that I have is Open Throat by Henry Hoke. And this is a book that I know a lot of people have talked about over the last couple of years as it's come out. It's told from the perspective of a queer mountain lion who lives in the Hollywood Hills. Hollywood Hills. I said that like with a really southern accent. Okay, so here I am on a whole different day trying to finish this little video that I started making. And as I was making fun of my own really bad southern accent, I just wanted to return and just rave about Open Throat. This is a book that is very unusual. I can't honestly think of many or any other books, to be honest, who are told from the perspective of an animal, not to mention a queer animal. But I want to be the one to tell you that if you're the kind of person who hates gimmicky novels like I do, just know that this one is not like that. It feels like to tell the story that Henry Hoke has to tell, like this is the only way to go about it. So please just give it a try. Maybe read 5-10 pages. It's very small, but I think that you will know pretty quickly if this book is for you, and if it is for you, again, I think you're going to adore it. One thing that I've been thinking a lot about is, who gets to tell the story that is being told. And I keep returning to a little snippet that I saw that I believe was from a podcast conversation. And in that little snippet, two men were kind of challenging a mouthy feminist woman who was on their show and basically asking her like, who gives you the right to speak for men and explain and describe what men are like when you yourself are not a man. And she said, as a woman, um, I am more knowledgeable about men and manhood than men are, in the same way that African Americans, for example, are so much more knowledgeable about whiteness because they have to witness it and live with it and compare against it and survive it in a way that you know gives them a perspective that is incomparable. And I kind of was thinking about that same conversation as I was reading this book. Who other than an animal, and a queer animal at that, is better equipped to tell a story about love and violence and humanity than this mountain lion right here. So if this sounds at all appealing, please let me know. I'm really curious if you have read any of these books. And also, if you have read them and enjoyed them, now you have a better understanding of what I like. So I'm just really curious if you'd have any recommendations for me. Okay, this is the video. Talk to you guys soon.